Yo, what's poppin' everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Lesage here. This is going to be the top 10 best Pokemon TCG tech cards in our standard format for November 2023. So if you're watching this a year from now, I appreciate y'all supporting the Shuffle Squad, but these cards might not be relevant or they might not be in the formats. So if you're trying to up your game and really try to improve some matchups, this is the video to check out. Spice your deck up with these cards. Give this video a like, share, subscribe. Let's jump into our number 10 pick. Kicking things off, we're going to start off with Erika's Invitation. The reason why we might want to look into Erika's Invitation is because we have an opportunity to pin down one of our opponent's Pokemon, their basic Pokemon, from their hand, put it to the bench, and switch it into the active. So this has an element of surprise, and with a format where you could play Erika's Invitation, maybe knock on a 2 prize card Pokemon, bring down a basic Pokemon that you can knock out with Iron Hands, or maybe just put your opponent in a tough spot with a control build. Snorlax, having a Pokemon your opponent doesn't want to have an active spot, such as Radiant Greninja. Erika's Invitation seems good, and it's probably in a better spot now than it has been in a while. I mean, it is still a relatively new card in the Pokemon 151 metagame, but we got to start off somewhere, and I think that this is a card, to me, that seems like it's relatively going to be number 10. Do you agree with me? Let me know in the comments below for each one of these cards. Let's jump into our number 9 pick. So our number 9 pick is Collapse Stadium, which is absolutely one of my favorite cards in our standard format. So it says each player can't have more than 4 bench Pokemon. If a player has 5 or more bench Pokemon, they discard bench Pokemon until they have 4 in play. And then you discard first if the player cards, blah, 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 blah. Regardless, Collapse Stadium allows us to take a Pokemon off our bench or force our opponent not to have Pokemon in play. There's a lot of decks that have large bench sizes right now. If we see a lot of Charizard decks that play Charizard, Bibarel, maybe even Tentacruel, Pidgeot, stuff like that. Reducing that by 1, it can be huge if we're playing against them. But if you are playing a deck like that, we can also use this as a way to take Pokemon out of play that maybe we don't want to have in play against a Block Snorlax deck, or maybe we have a heavily damaged Charizard, or maybe we want to just take off a 2-prizer and then play a supporter card to get around it. So Collapse Stadium has a bunch of things that are working well towards it, and it is a counter to Path to the Peak as well. And I think it's just a cool card in general. Let's jump into our number 8 pick at Lost Vacuum. Now, Lost Vacuum might be plain to the point where you might be like, yo, this might not be even really a tech card, but I promise you it is. Our format has a lot of Bravery Charms in it. So, like, if your opponent's playing a Bravery Charm in a Snorlax deck, some Rhydon deck, you want to be able to knock out that Pokemon, and Lost Vacuum is one of those only cards that allows you to get there. Also, with Rhydon being a very popular deck right now, they're playing Path to the Peak. If you have any abilities, Lost Vacuum works as a way for you to get around those abilities. So I think that, like, Lost Vacuum is kind of a 2-for-1 in a way, where we can kind of knock out some Pokemon. We can search it with Arven. We can search it with Pokestop. Like, there's a lot of cool things that you could do with Lost Vacuum. But right now, Path to the Peak and Bravery Charm being huge in our format are great. And I'm sure you're going to run into some niche things as well. Do you agree? Let me know. We'll jump into our number 7 pick. Number 7, we have Rotom V. Now, this is a card, before I was making this list, that I didn't necessarily think I was going to be adding in here. We're not using it for Scrap Shore. We're not attacking with it. We're using it for its ability. It says, once during your turn, you may draw 3 cards. If you use this ability, your turn ends. We've been seeing this getting added into Control builds, Snorlax builds. I guess Control and Snorlax build are the same, but regardless, we've seen it on Control and then now into Snorlax builds, Chien-Pao builds, and now Charizard builds. So if your deck's not really doing much and you're kind of setting up, or you're not attacking that turn, drawing 3 cards is good. So if your deck is in that position, Rotom V might really be that card to add in. If it's not, then don't play Rotom V. Not every single tech card's gonna work into every single deck, so we're gonna have to consider that as you add these cards. But these are some cards that you might want to sprinkle into your decks. You know what I'm saying? There are definitely some opportunities there. Jumping in to our number 6 pick is Professor Turo's Scenario. Again, a lot of these might have some kind of anti-control kind of theme to them. You put one of your Pokemon in play into your hand, discard all cards attached to that Pokemon. So this is kind of like a penny-ish card that we can use to put a non-basic Pokemon back into our hands. And I use this as a way similar to Collapse to kind of heal. So we might want to use this on a Charizard EX that's taken 250 damage. We can put it back into our hand, and then maybe rare candy at another turn or something. Maybe we can use this to take a Pokemon out of play that is getting blocked, Snorlaxed up in the active spot. I think Professor Turo is also great at getting out 2 prizers that you might have in play and reducing the amount of prize cards you're offering your opponent in play at any given time. So I think it's a cool card. Certainly has some aspects where it could be seeing some success. So maybe try this one out. This is definitely one of my top ones, but we'll see what's at number 5. Number 5 is Avery. Now this is one that's actually surprising me, but a lot of people are kind of on the Avery train. So for similar reasons as Collapse Stadium, Avery has that kind of bench limitation kind of aspect. You get to draw 3 cards, so very basic. If you draw any cards, your opponent discards cards from their bench until they have 3. With decks like Gardevoir needing Radiant Greninja, having all their Mirage Stepped Curlias out, stuff like that, there's a lot of Pokemon in play. Even if you think about Baxcalibur, they have the Bibarel, Baxcalibur, Chien-Pao, Radiant Greninja. Like, they're going to have to discard some good stuff, and I think that it allows you to just focus on the good stuff that they have left. Really, maybe causing them to be a little bit like, I don't know how to put it, like clumsy afterwards. Like, they're already missing their base of like Pokemon on their bench. You maybe knock something out, and that's all it takes, is like just taking out multiple pieces and then knocking something out so they don't have a chance to rebound. It's cool. The next one that we got going up here is a kind of cool one that I like. Jirachi here. Jirachi allows us to stop Sableye for the most part, and also Medicham V. So it says prevent all damage counters from being placed on your bench Pokemon by effects of attacks used by your opponent's basic Pokemon. It's definitely like a large amount of words when it comes down to it, to like it's doing something. So basically the way that I do it is like we're playing this to counter Sableye for the most part, and also Medicham V being played in Iron Valiant decks certainly has some opportunities, and it gives us a chance to see success against Lost Zone Box Mirrors or decks that might play Medicham like Iron Valiant. So if those are decks that you're expecting, Jirachi is probably cool. In the same way that decks have played Manaphy before Jirachi has come out, you might want to play Jirachi and Manaphy, but if there's not enough sniping with damage, then maybe you want to stop the damage counters. This card's pretty cool, but kind of speaking about it and foreshadowing it a little bit, we also have Manaphy here at our number 3 pick. So Manaphy says prevent all damage done to your bench Pokemon by attacks from your opponent's Pokemon. So if you have Manaphy and Jirachi in bench, your opponent cannot use Radiant Greninja, Kyogre, Sableye, Medicham. There's like a lot of Pokemon that can just snipe some stuff. So something to consider when it's going on there. It's kind of like a 2-for-1 special. But I think Manaphy right now is a little bit above Jirachi because I don't think there's enough Lost Zone Box. I think like with Tord playing only one Sableye but has a Kyogre in their deck, and there's Radiant Greninja in a lot of decks, and there's just a lot of random things that I feel like can snipe a bench. And Rapid Strike Urshifu is also up. Manaphy just seems like it's a little bit of a better tech card now than it was before, but it is something that like you could see yourself subbing in Manaphy or Jirachi whenever you get a chance. Do you agree with me? Let me know. Totally would love some interactions in the comments in any capacity. What do we got going on for number 2? We're getting up there. Number 2 is going to be one of the newer cards for Paradox Rift, Iron Hands EX. We're not using this card for Arm Press. I mean, we could use Arm Press depending on the deck, but we're really looking to use this as Amp You very much. You might be like, yo, Zach, this costs a lot of energies to be a tech, but I've seen Roaring Moon decks play this with Thornton and Thornton Iron Hands, slapping on a Lightning Energy. I've seen decks play this in Lost Zone Box. I've seen Iron Hands in a bunch of different decks, and I think Iron Hands, just being able to draw extra prize cards, can be quite good. So while you're looking into playing a deck like this, I think there's certainly some opportunities to see success with Iron Hands as we kind of go into it. Drawing extra prizes is good. There's a lot of basic single prize card Pokemon that you can knock out with Amp You very much. Use it while you still got a chance. You might be wondering what's going to be our best deck or our best tech for the best decks. Put your best guesses in the comments below, but it is Minior. Probably surprising to some of you, maybe not to others, but Minior seems quite good because it says once during your turn, if this Pokemon's on your bench, when you attach an energy from your hand to this Pokemon, you may switch it with your active Pokemon. We're really playing this only for the block Snorlax aspect of the block Snorlax deck. So while we can't retreat or anything else like that, and we can only play Switch Card, Professor Turo, stuff like that, Minior allows us to force our way into the active, and that's half the battle, but we still can't retreat. But we can use Gravitational Tackle for 20 times the colorless energies in your opponent's active retreat cost. So we can basically knock out the Snorlax because it has a 4 retreat cost times 2, 160, 162 our active opponent's Snorlax. If they don't have a Bravery Charm or anything that's increasing their HP, we just get the knockout there, and if our opponent continuously attacks with Snorlax or has Snorlax in the active, we can continuously provide the Minior to use far-flying Meteor. So that's what we got going on for today. A little bit of a different video, and hopefully you enjoyed it. Maybe you didn't. Let me know in the comments below. If you're missing any of these cards for your decks, check out our sponsors in our below in the comments, the description, all that good stuff. Really support the Shuffle Squad. We also have more content available on our Patreon with some new long form articles coming out there soon. So be sure to stay on the lookout for those. But yeah, really appreciate all y'all watching this video, and stay tuned for the next top 10 best whatever that we got going on next week. Want to support the Shuffle Squad? Be sure to check out all of our sponsors in the description to pick up Pokemon TCG singles, sealed, and PTCG live codes. Hey trainers, tired of having too many cards lying around? I know that feeling, and I know what a hassle it is to try and sell those cards. But selling bulk is now easier than ever with TCG Bulk. Find tons of potential buyers in a single place. You just download the app, look for the best buyer near you, and carefully pack your bulk, ship it, and you get paid. It really is that simple. Turn the cards you don't want into the cards you absolutely need for your next deck. You made it to the end. Thank you so much for watching this entire video from the Shuffle Squad. Honestly, from the bottom of our hearts, we appreciate each and every person that supports our content, watches what we have going on every single day, every single week, even from time to time, and continuously allows us to have a forum to project our creative content towards the Pokemon TCG community. So if you haven't already, be sure to give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, and even leave a comment to help boost the YouTube algorithm. That being said, we'll catch you with our next video. Thanks again. Take it easy.